Production funding for Arts Upload has been provided in part by the Francis Family Foundation, the Hall Family Foundation, the H&R Block Foundation, the Courtney S. Turner Foundation, the Spies Memorial Trust, and viewers like you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Randy Mason.
And I'm Maris Aylward. Welcome to Arts Upload.
This week we've landed at the Bruce R. Watkins Cultural Heritage Center
with a show for you that features two stories about two very creative women.
One's a teacher and a painter, the other's a writer and musician.
Plus making art with manhole covers and some landscaping that looks a lot like sculpture.
It's all ahead on The Upload.
City artists have had as much recognition or success as painter Philomene Bennett.
As one observer put it, she and her husband Lou Merrick are almost like art royalty around these parts.
But unlike some at the top, Philomene is very gracious in giving of her time and energy to help others find their artistic voice.
She was one of the co-founders of the Kansas City Artists Coalition, and even today at 80, she's still teaching classes, which in turn energizes her own work.
Producer-videographer Julie Denichet has been looking in on the activity at Philomene's studio in the West Bottoms.
You know, this is interesting to do. I don't know where I'm going with it at all, but it's sort of fascinating to not know. Whenever I work, it's like I have a conversation with me and myself. It's about the conversation that is going on and how strong it is and how interesting it is. If it's boring, I have to figure out what to make that conversation better. And sometimes I've done strange, unbelievable things. You're searching for something. You want some kind of a statement that you can say, okay, that feels good. I'll stop there.
Philomene really is a strong advocate for the individual artist's vision. And I think this is one of her primary gifts to the artists in this community. She encourages them to find their voice, and she helps them achieve it through her own eye, her own experience, and by working with them in a studio that she sets up for them to come, where they can collaborate with her and the other artists. And I do think that through that, many artists have found their creative voice and their identity as an artist.
First of all, you look at what they do. For me, I know that each one is an individual. They're doing their own thing. And so what is it that they do that's really good and does it really well? You build on it and make it stronger. And it may be something that nobody else likes. It doesn't make any difference. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with them trying to find out the way they put down their creative energy. Actually, I kind of like it that way, don't you?
She's a very energetic, powerful woman, and she takes command of herself and of her artwork, and then she gently coaxes out of her students these beautiful little threads. She could just find that one beautiful line, and she would just light fires.
In this workshop, she has all manner of media being used, and she walks around rather like a golf pro and comes up to each artist and says, "Do you have a problem?" And of course everyone does.
I got into this painting and had this brush. I made this mark. She comes over and goes, "That mark right there, do you know what you just did?" And I said, "You know, what do you mean, what do you mean?" She said, "That brush loaded up with magenta and red right there that you drug across without thinking anything about it. Look at how beautiful that is." And a light just went on for me. I thought, the only thing I'm interested in is color and mark. It's just color and mark.
I think I give them freedom. Freedom to become who they are. Freedom to establish a sense of themselves without anyone negating it.
She makes me want to keep doing what I'm doing. She makes me feel what I'm doing is important. She makes us all feel that way. She has a great eye, and she can see things going on in your work that you might not see at first, but when she says it, you know she's right.
I think you have to realize that you are uniquely you. There isn't anybody else like you, and that you also have experiences that are uniquely yours. You have all this richness that you can use to do a painting it's just wonderful.
She thoroughly enjoys working with us all. She wants us all to succeed, and that's just amazing. There's such a gift of her time and talent that she freely shares with us. And at the same time, she wants us to develop our own style. She's not somebody that does a demonstration and then says, okay, you know, this is how you do it. She doesn't want that. Her thing is more, what do you feel? What do you want to express? And how can we help you get there?
A lot of times we'll see artists come in here and we'll say, oh, XYZ student. We'll wait 5 or 6 years and see when they've developed their own voice. You don't see that with Philomene's students. You wouldn't know that they're hers by the basis of their work.
It's all about trying to get the best out of people. And it's certainly not going to be what I do, it's got to be what they do. And that to me is the essence. And it may take, and I've talked about it, it takes years. And determination and desire. You want to be obsessed. It's really obsession. Where you can still use that shape. Absolutely. Yeah.
She could just move from one medium and one person to the other. And you just see as she would go by and talk to somebody, they'd just go, you know, they'd look at their work and become incited.
There's no dogma about it. When you start working with this, you may not have a clue what you want to do, but if you keep putting some marks down, it kind of talks to you. Maybe it needs this, maybe it needs that, you know, something. And if you can really trust yourself, put it down. If it doesn't work, get rid of it, you know? I think a lot of people are afraid.
There's no right or wrong in a sense. It's like, well, do it and see what happens. And I think that's more her philosophy of, well, why don't you find out what happens if you try that?
The feeling of a mark making, one charcoal line versus another charcoal line, and how the difference, what they feel, the feelings that you get from each one. If you put it on heavier, it's different than it is on the lighter one. It's just, and the feelings of what you can do then when you know and work so much that when I push another color into another color and it changes the whole atmosphere, that's what I like to see.
I think before I came to Philomene's, I had a voice, but it just has become better and stronger since I've been there. Sometimes things just go in.
If they're with me for quite a while, they even start looking different. They have more sense of who they are. To me, it's just a matter of getting confidence and a belligerent conviction that this is okay, even though nobody else thinks it is. But it's a way of finding out who you are and what you are about, really.
Kansas City's visual arts scene has been getting lots of recognition in recent years, but you know, our musical assets are getting noticed too.
Yeah, The Deli is a music magazine based in New York with online hubs in other locales, and now Kansas City is one of them.
Its editor is a busy young woman named Michelle Bacon, and when she's not keeping her eye out for hot acts and new bands, she also finds time to play plenty of music of her own.
Producer-videographer John McGrath has been working late to keep up with one of the key cogs in Kansas City's live music circuit.
Women's pants have a lot of fake pockets, which I think is stupid.
Wow. Gosh, I had the real dirt on Michelle Bacon.
Put any bass in their monitor? Probably not. It's a lot of pressure, all these cameras on me. I know, yeah, I'm allergic to alcohol, so it's
Are
like...
you really?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It makes my face turn red, and it's very unpleasant, so... I'm Michelle Bacon, and I'm a musician. I'm in 4 bands: The Philistines, Dolls on Fire, Drew Black and Dirty Electric, I just joined Chris Meck and the Guilty Birds. Anywhere that I have my computer, I can do it all. I run the local chapter of the Deli magazine. It's based on Kansas City, Lawrence area musicians, bands, promotion. I am at the Folk Store. Yeah, I work at the Folk Store, which is where the Folk Alliance International offices are at. Right now, I'm prepping for the conference, which is coming up at the end of February. I'm pretty much working on sales stuff, and I'm usually sitting there posting stuff about the conference, social media, or talking about other opportunities that we have there, emailing people about sponsoring the conference.
You know, Michelle, you're kind of introverted, but you get up on stage in front of all these people and play the bass or play the drums.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, for one thing, I don't have to talk.
There you go, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have to talk, that's great.
You're not a lead singer in any bands, I've noticed.
No, that'll never happen. Like when I first started playing, I would get up on stage and I'd just be really nervous. I played drums first, so I would just kind of hide behind there and do my thing and whatever. But then when I had to start playing bass, it was pretty intimidating because, you know, you're up there, people are watching you. People are gonna watch you more than they watch the drummer generally, and it was pretty scary, but, you know, I just had to start channeling the energy from the band, and it worked out. I love all the bands I play with, so. You know, it's just a matter of feeling the sound, feeling the chemistry between everybody in the band, and that just kind of comes out when I'm playing. Yeah, I've always wanted to play drums, and I didn't start until probably about 10 years ago. It's another thing that I really enjoy doing. It's getting a lot of aggressions out, for one thing. Like we said, I'm a pretty quiet person, so it's a good way for me to, it's a very cathartic act. Yeah, the rhythm section to me is the thing that I always gravitate towards, no matter who I'm watching. I think it's just really important, especially in the music that I'm playing, for the rhythm section to be locked in. There's got to be a certain groove to the music with every band that I play in, at least.
And that's Michelle Bacon on the bass!
We did that Rolling Stones tribute together. Not together, but respective bands did it together, and I think it was like right after that he asked me to be in the Philistines, so.
I'd seen her play drums for one band, but then she played bass at that Rolling Stones show, and we were looking for somebody to play bass, and it worked out very well and very quickly. She's an incredibly professional person, a really creative person, and you know, a whole lot of fun to work with.
I'll be running around doing something, I'm sure.
What do you think about her being busy? What is it?
It's good. Michelle loves to be busy all the time.
How'd last night go?
Pretty good. There were a lot of people there that I didn't know, so that's always nice.
What you see is what you get, because it's what you see constantly. She's playing, she's doing something all the time.
You know, I just like to keep occupied, and right now I have a lot of things to occupy my time. A lot of bands, there's always a band rehearsal somewhere or a gig or something like that. And then, you know, working with the Deli, I'm always talking to other bands that want me to catch their shows, or I'll hear about a band from somebody else that I want to check out. So I'm pretty much out all the time, and that makes me happy.
So tell me about where we're going and who we're going to see.
Okay, we're going to visit my grandma. She's 101 years old. She's been in this facility for about 2 years. I try to visit her as much as I can, so it's usually once a week, once every couple of weeks, depending on what I have going on, but I'll go see her as much as I can. I hear my grandma. She's a pretty amazing person. She's been my role model for my entire life.
Hi, little Michelle. Should we get down on the floor and play?
Sure. It's always fun to go see her.
I know, but I don't photograph well.
She's She's probably the most positive person I've ever met too, and once you meet her, you'll find out.
Oh, heavens. Really?
She's made an impact on everybody she meets, and she's very kind and generous, and just the type of person that I've always aspired to be. So she was the first person that held me, and we've had a very special bond ever since. Right?
What's the future for Michelle Bacon?
Well, I don't know. You know, I'm just gonna keep pursuing all of these things that I'm enjoying. I really love playing with other people. I love being able to help in a very small way get other bands out there, just have their name out there and talk about their craft. And I'm gonna do that really as long as I can.
As we like to recall, there was a time when almost no city in the world had as much nightlife or live music as Kansas City did.
And here at the Bruce R. Watkins Cultural Heritage Center, one of the galleries currently has an exhibit with Charlie Parker's contributions to jazz on the walls and in some other unusual ways.
Yes, Puppets from Paul Mesner, who created a show last summer for the Byrds' birthday celebration. It's very cool.
The center has been here since 1989 with exhibitions and events celebrating the African-American experience. It's here at Brush Creek in Cleveland, right across from the Spirit of Freedom Fountain, one of my very favorites.
Which brings us to our next story here on Arts Upload. It's about a landscape architect who has a sculptural bent.
Adam Kuby works in Portland, Oregon, building public projects with a little extra flair.
Well, I guess my work is somewhere on the spectrum between sculpture and landscape architecture, earthworks. It's not on a pedestal, and they tend not to be objects. They tend to be really knitted into their environment. I started out studying landscape architecture and design. I thought I wanted to be an architect, and then I started focusing on landscape architecture. But just somehow just wanted to make things physically myself. The first commission I got here in Portland was for a skate park in North Portland in Pier Park. So this is Walk Wave. It's a skatable, walkable entrance walk into a skate park. One of the sidewalks sort of turns into a wave, and the other wall turns into a sidewalk, so there's this sort of Mobius strip happening as you walk through it. It's so much about flow and movement, and so the walkway really just, it's all about that. And the kids, they come into the park at the top and they just see this and they just jump on their boards and they just move with it.
It's really cool looking, it's fun, it's kind of got a little surfy feel. And I think it's a good first impression on the park for first comers.
We tend to want to do things that stay the same, and nature's the complete opposite. Nature's, you know, everything in nature is always evolving and changing and growing or eroding. I've done a couple pieces where I've placed stone elements of the sculpture in juxtaposition with newly planted living trees and plants. And the idea is that over time, as those plants and trees grow, they start shifting and moving and heaving and cracking the granite that I've put out there with it. So the whole point of those pieces is for them to change over time. And that's sort of the beauty of them, in a way, that they're not static. The Falls is a work for Oregon City that another artist, Brian Borello, and I collaborated on. It's along this new waterfront overlook and promenade that the city was building, and so we joined the design team and came up with these very iconic 18-foot tall stainless steel pieces that have a fall-like quality to them. Hopefully sort of creates a sense of the waterfall as part of this landscape. both natural and urbanized and complex. This is a public art commission with Seattle Public Utilities, and it is the facade of a giant stormwater tank that's being buried halfway into the hillside. We're going to be placing these bird nests in the wall, so there'll be a space behind there where the birds can nest. These bird nests are going to have this facade of artificial tree bark. Just the quintessential tree bark, every tree's bark. So this will open up, it'll hinge up, and then there'll be space in the back in the wall for the birds to nest, and you'll be able to open this up and clean it out every year. And we're really trying to sort of turn it into a living wall instead of just being the side of a big tank. Just trying to weave it into the park in a really artful way. It's always thrilling to me to take something that's really mundane, really, that you take for granted, a sidewalk, and make it into something that you weren't expecting.
And finally this week, we've got an art genre that's apparently been underfoot all along. It just took a great artist in Florida to see the many possibilities of manhole covers.
You put something down that represents your inner soul, and it's down there on paper and then up on the wall. Other people can enjoy it, and you feel fulfilled that you've done something outside of yourself. Well, the great works, I didn't know they were going to happen. It just evolved. I grew up in an atmosphere of We Love Renoir and the Impressionists and so on. And so when I went back to college to study art, the professor was giving me low marks. I didn't like that. I'm competitive. So I said, what do I need to do? He said, you need a theme or a style or nobody will know who you are. I said, manhole covers. It's like eureka, that's what I'm going to do. And that was 1979. And once I found out that that was a theme that nobody else was doing, and I entered a show in Manhattan called New Art in New York, and people advised me, they said, well, try your new theme. I entered it and they said, congratulations, you're in it. And I had 6 weeks to hurry up and do this great manhole cover artwork. So I just got started. I only had a few pieces and to show them, and then I had to have a whole wall. And that got started, and it's been going on ever since. I start the manhole cover with an idea of which one I want to do. First I take pictures of it the way it is, especially if it's got litter with it, and I've got that documentation. Then I brush off the litter and secure the corners, and then I have a kneeling pad, and I have a regular rubbing block crayon to take the rubbing. Now I'm getting a little bit older. I see if I can get someone else to do the rubbing for me. With carbon paper, I trace the rubbing onto the foam. And sometimes there are various layers. I have to plan how I'm going to hang it and how I'm going to work it all out. But I carve with those little snap-off knives and use a knife sharpener in between and carve out the various parts of the manhole cover. Then I cover the whole piece with either that plaster bandage wrap that they use for making casts, either that or I use cheesecloth. Then after that's done, it gets painted with cement. Then I take it outside and throw some more sand on, put some glue down, throw some sand, stuff in a little bit of moss, anything. Sometimes I'm out there sweeping up the grit on the streets and bring it back in and dump it in the crevices of my manhole cover. It's fun watching it evolve, and people, like when we were in San Francisco and I did a rubbing of their manhole cover, there was a whole crowd around. They were videotaping it and watching it. It becomes, and anybody who's gone out to do a rubbing has an adventure. They do it for me. They say everybody thinks they're crazy, but they all stand and watch them do it. It's probably whatever I'm working on at the time I love, because that absorbs all my imagination right then. I love the one from North Carolina, the cross cannons and the palm tree, because that has a whole legend to it, and I love the design of it. And sometimes that outside spirit captures your imagination, and that goes into it all. I think it's a great experience.
We have reached the end of another of our surveys of art from around the country, as well as our own backyard.
Next week, more music. Classical, in fact, from the Bach aria soloist and a poem from Ms. Angela Rue. Also, a little burlesque.
Ooh la la. From the Bruce R. Watkins Cultural Heritage Center, I'm Randy Mason.
And I'm Maris Aylward. Thanks for watching.
Production funding for Arts Upload has been provided in part by the Francis Family Foundation, the Hall Family Foundation, the H&R Block Foundation, the Courtney S. Turner Foundation, the Spies Memorial Trust, and viewers like you. Thank you.